It's great to be in Chicago for the first inaugural Medjugorje Youth Festival here in the US, and I'm with Ann Vucic. And it would be a complete lie to think about Medjugorje and not think of you. Medjugorje has been like the centre of your faith for many years. Your own conversion and the education and ministry that you lead with Medjugorje today just speaks of itself. To start off with, what began this journey for you?
Oh wow, gosh, that's one of the most important questions of my life, I would say. I was born in a little village about 2 miles from Medjugorje. I am Croatian, but when I was 2 years old, my family moved to the United States, and I grew up in Chicago, which is where we are here right now. But as a teenager, as a young teen and a little bit older teen, I went through a lot of really difficult things. I went through a lot of bullying at school and different things like that. And it left me really angry, very frustrated, filled with rage. And it really basically left me not believing in God. Well, as coincidence would have it, the summer of 1981, I was 15 years old. And my family decided we were going to go on a family vacation. Very sort of seemingly random decision. Let's go on a family vacation back to our homeland. We left, I remember the exact dates because it was so significant in my life. June 9th, 1981 we left, and we stayed there till August 26th, 1981. Well, June 24th, for those that know the history of Medjugorje, June 24th is the day that Our Lady first began appearing in Medjugorje. That was 2 weeks after we arrived in the region. On the fourth day of the apparitions, June 27th, 1981, is when I first heard about the apparitions. And in that moment, when I heard those words, Our Lady is appearing in Medjugorje, the gospa is appearing in Medjugorje. Gospa is the Croatian word for Our Lady. God took that angry, rage-filled, atheist 15-year-old kid and transformed her completely, totally, forever. He filled me with the presence. He filled me. I didn't understand any of this, by the way. Something was happening to me, and I had no idea what it was because I didn't understand the God language. I didn't understand anything about the spiritual life. I was raised in a traditional Catholic family. But, I didn't know anything about that deeper life of grace, that deeper life of the Spirit that comes when you experience God in a deeper way. But that happened to me in that moment when I heard those words. And whenever somebody's been touched authentically by God, they are forever changed. You never go back. You can't ever go back because it's like going from filet mignon to chewing gum. Like, who would ever do that? Like, you would never choose to have a chewing gum to sustain you versus a filet mignon. I use food analogies a lot because they resonate with me. And so for me, Medjugorje is the place of my first encounter with God. Medjugorje is that impetus in my life that has kept me going forward. And not Medjugorje as a place, but Medjugorje as a place where God makes himself real, makes himself present, and made himself very real and very present in my own life. And that has just continued even more fully to this day.
Wow, it's an incredible story that you have, Anne, and I know for myself, you've inspired me, you've inspired my family, and you've inspired, millions around the world. So it's absolutely incredible. Praise God. What is it about Medjugorje, do you think, today that really resonates and connects with people?
I think it's actually quite simple. First of all, I don't pretend to know why this is the case. I just know that it is the case. And that Medjugorje is the place of God's presence in the world in a very profound way today. It is the place of God's intervention in the world today. It is a place, for whatever reason, that God has chosen to pour out such an abundance of graces that Our Lady has said to us many times in Medjugorje, has said, graces that are being poured out here, it's unlike any other time in history. And she frequently says to us, my dear children, you have no idea of the graces that are being poured out. So great are these graces that we just can't comprehend it. So when grace is present, hearts are changed. And what is it that we all, as human beings, as beings who are, St. Augustine said, my heart was made for you, O Lord, and it shall not rest until it rests in you. Our hearts are made to know and love God. And it's only in knowing and loving God that we find that fulfillment, that we find that life, that we find that joy. But we seek all kinds of replacements to that. But when we encounter the authentic presence of God, we are forever changed. That's what happens in Medjugorje. People encounter the authentic presence of God in such a profound, powerful way, and they are forever changed. They are forever changed. And so it's an interesting phenomenon in Medjugorje. People go there. I know people who've gone there hundreds of times. And so many times I'll hear people go, my family keeps asking me, why are you going back there again? Why don't you go someplace different? Why don't you pick a different place? Well, if you can go to a place where you can encounter God in such a real way, how could you ever choose someplace else? And so that's why people keep going back there, because it is a source of such powerful grace. It is a place of a very concrete and real encounter with God. And it's a draw. People are drawn there like magnet to metal.
Wow, incredible in every way. For those that I often hear about, there's a lot of people that say, oh, because Medjugorje, isn't fully approved yet, I'm not going to go and I don't want to hear about it. What would you say to those people?
Okay, that can be a whole day-long talk. There's so much to say to that. First of all, the Medjugorje, as of September 19th, 2024, Medjugorje has the highest level of approval that the church can give. The Vatican issued a statement on that day. It's called the Nota about the Queen of Peace. And in that Nota, it says the dicastery for the doctrine of faith very clearly said that the fruits of Medjugorje, the devotion of Medjugorje, is healthy and good, and it is encouraged to go. It is encouraged to honor Our Lady as the Queen of Peace. So the devotion to the Queen of Peace is fully approved. Now, some people might be confused by that and go, yeah, but the apparitions themselves are not approved. And it's really important to understand a couple of things with this. First of all, the new norms for evaluating apparitions, which were approved by the church in May of 2024, actually do not allow for the dicastery for the doctrine of faith to approve places of apparition. The highest level of approval that the dicastery can give is the nihil obstat, which means there's nothing contrary to the faith. That is what Medjugorje has received. The only way for a place of apparition to be pronounced as supernatural today, as a result of these new norms, is if the Pope himself says these are supernatural. Now, many might have the question, so why doesn't the Pope do that? Why doesn't the Pope just say the apparitions of Medjugorje are supernatural? And there's one very easy answer to that question. Keep in mind, because the apparitions of Medjugorje are ongoing. They are not completed. Well, actually, two reasons. Because the apparitions of Medjugorje are ongoing, and secondly, because there have been secrets that have been promised in Medjugorje that have not yet been revealed. None of the secrets of Medjugorje have yet been revealed. So to pronounce a final judgment, it would be like an attorney going to defend a case to court and have only half of the information that he needs to defend his client. Before you go to court, you need to have the full body of evidence to take your case to court. Before the church is going to pronounce the supernaturality of Medjugorje, they need to have all of the revelation completed. And personally, I don't think the church is going to say anything about the supernatural nature of Medjugorje until all of the apparitions are complete, until all of the missionaries have stopped having apparitions, and until the secrets are revealed. So in the meantime, the church has very clearly stated, in the meantime, we give it its full support. There can't be any more fuller support than what the church has already done.
Wow, such great insights. Thanks for that, Anne.
My pleasure.
I'm sure there is, a number of young people that are inspired from this festival in Chicago that may want to join a future pilgrimage to Medjugorje. Where can they go and find out that information?
There's lots and lots of wonderful people in the world that do pilgrimages. There's groups all over the world. If you're in an English-speaking country, if you're in Australia, I know there's lovely people in Australia who do pilgrimages. There's people all over the world. If you want to join whatever, an Irish group, a British group, a US group, you could do a Google search. You could also go to the website. our Medjugorje Information Center for the English-speaking world. It's called the Mir Medjugorje English Information Center. We do have a list on there. We ourselves don't do pilgrimages, but we act as a sort of a collection box where people who do pilgrimages can list their pilgrimages there. So if you want to see a sort of a list of the different pilgrimages, you can go to our website. It's Center spelled the American way. I'm not sure how you spell it in Australia. It's CENTER. Mir, M-I-R, centermirmedjugorje.com. And then you can find on there the Pilgrimage Center to find information. But if you're watching this in Australia, there's lovely people in Australia who do it as well. So I would just say do a Google search on pilgrimages from Australia to Medjugorje.
Fantastic.
Let me just add, please come to Medjugorje. If you have any opportunity at all to go on a pilgrimage to Medjugorje, please do so, because the graces, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the graces being poured out there are being poured out in such abundance. Come and get them. Not that they can't be received anywhere else, but for some reason it's just an explosion of grace there. If you can go to Medjugorje, go to Medjugorje.
Wow, I can 100% attest to that as well. Definitely go to Medjugorje. And lastly, do you have a message to all the young people and all the people of the world and particularly in Australia?
Yeah, you know what? I would say we've had and are living in there's a lot of darkness around us. There's a lot of difficult things happening in the world. There's a lot of evil present. Evil is trying very hard to destroy the light. Of course, we know that evil will never win, but the answer to fighting anything dark is the power of light, the power of God. And what I want to say is that I think there's so many people who maybe have never had that experience of a personal, intimate encounter with God. I would want to say to everybody out there listening, if you haven't had that kind of an experience, let me just tell you, God can change your life. Wherever you are in life, whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're dealing with, whatever your battles are, whatever your darkness may be, whatever situation you might be dealing with that might seem impossible to you, God can change anything and everything. And the key, there's one key, and the key is very simply just to say in your heart of hearts, Lord, I open my heart to you. If you can do that simple thing of saying, Lord, I open my heart to you, God can come into your world and change your reality. And let me tell you this, by the way, too. Hopefully hopefully lots of you know this, but if you don't, we all have dreams for our life, right? We all have things that we want to do, things that we want to accomplish. But I can guarantee you, because I've seen this in my own life and I've seen this in the lives of so many people, I can dream this much for myself. But God dreams so much bigger than for you that you could ever imagine. God dreams like this much for you. So the key to having such a fulfilled and exciting life is to allow God to lead you. So 2 steps. 1, say, Lord, I open my heart to you. Please come in. And second of all, give your life to the Lord. Allow Him to lead you and guide you. And I promise you, you will be shocked and unbelievably surprised by what He does with you and where He takes you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful interview, Anne. And I'm sure there's many viewers that are watching this and are going to be inspired by your testimony about Medjugorje. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, Daniel.